The words of reflection for this third Sunday in the season of Advent, the Sunday of Joy, are entitled Sparking Joy. It's based on John's Gospel, chapter 1, assorted verses. The joy of faithfulness, the joy of hospitality, the joy of compassion, the joy of service, the joy of sorrow, the joy of teaching, the joy of discipline. Because my mom was named Joy and she really lived out her name, when I think of the many facets of joy in life, her face comes to mind. I see an actual person, someone who embodied and brought to life all of those gifts of joy. And hopefully, in being witness to her wisdom and her being, I too have inherited the gift to see and to be joy in the world around me. Well, because Jesus was named Emmanuel, God with us, and lived out his name, when we think of the many facets of joy in life, we have this living, incarnate person that visually makes real all of the gifts of joy. And hopefully, in being witness to his wisdom and being, we too have inherited the gift to see and be joy in the world around us. The Gospel writer John said it like this: "The Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth." Well, what do we do with that truth? What do we do with the power of a message that in Jesus we come to know God's glory throughout our days? So often our joy can feel squashed by the circumstances of our lives. But true joy, well, that's found in our relationship with God, and that can never be extinguished. True joy is found in the practice of laying before God our burdens that are often too heavy for us to carry on our own, and realizing that when we do so, they become lighter. True joy can be expressed by the spontaneous laughter or the carrying on that happens, or it can be held in the quiet contentment of one's heart. True joy is discovered when the chips are down, when hearts are really hurting and there's a profound sense of gratitude for the big and the small supports in life that shine through the chaos. True joy is the "my heart is about to burst with pride, excitement, wonder" feeling when we learn of good and transformative news, not only for ourselves, but for someone else. Well, John the Baptist was the witness, sharing with others the true joy that Jesus would bring and prepare them for the good news, that the brokenhearted would be bound up, the captives would be freed, and those who mourn would be comforted. To all people, Jesus offers this garland instead of ashes, oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit. But sometimes when others around us are expressing sadness, our tendency is to suppress our joy, as if our expression of the joy of the season might negate or overshadow another person's experience. Our challenge as Christians, especially this year, when there's loss everywhere we turn, the loss of tradition or ritual, loss of family members from around our tables, our challenge is to continue to live joy, to stand in witness of it and to point others to it, to help create moments of joy, and to unabashedly share the joy of Christ's birth, which offers the world a new way to live. Marie Kondo, she's a popular organizing consultant, and she uses a method called KonMari. It's a philosophy of tidying up that's inspired by the spiritual practice found in Shintoism that focuses on the divine nature of things. Well, one of the steps in decluttering is to keep only those things in your life that spark joy. Or in Japanese, it's called Tokimeku, meaning discovering those things that make your heart flutter, throb, palpitate, or make you feel alive. So with every object held, the individual analyzes how it makes you feel. So I wondered if that could also be true for our experiences. And I invite you to open your hands and imagine that you're holding a relationship, an event, a memory. Explore whether you feel tokimeku, that excitement and joy in what you're holding. And if you don't, what are you going to do about it? Set that event or relationship aside, or strive to reshape it, to adapt it, to reimagine it in order to create joy again. During this time of reimagining our customs and traditions, in our hands, many of us have just held the bread and the cup of communion. The celebration of this sacrament is intended to fill us with deep joy, to make our hearts throb and flutter, and to fill us with the joy of faithfulness, the joy of hospitality, the joy of service, the joy of remembering, the joy of compassion, the joy of sorrow, the joy of life. The sacrament of communion and our very worship strengthens and sustains and renews us in our relationship with God, and invites us to embody and carry our joy to the world. So with the taste of it still on our lips, may we go forth ready to prepare the way of the Lord and make God's glory shine. May this be true this day and always. Amen.